and what Natalie has been denying has finally come true. And I am not a petty person who lords over other people when I'm right. So I will just give this brief moment of um, opportunity for those of you, who decided to slight me in the slightest way, right? To say that I'm right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for
You
your time.
are a petty person. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I'm a nice petty person, okay?
I'll
Anyways,
take it.
let's
I'll
just
take it.
jump right into it.
Yeah, let's start with episode 7, which we were supposed to do last week, but Charles was in a very important TMR meeting, so we couldn't do it. So we're doing it this week. It's what if Thor was an only child, and it kind of goes the way that you would expect. Starting with the, I guess, kind of the events of Thor 1, sort of, where I suddenly forgot their names. Darcy and Jane. Darcy and Jane, and they're
Oh,
missing the professor here. But the two of them are trying to observe what they think it's a scientific phenomenon, but actually turns out to just be the Bifrost with Thor coming down to Earth. It's really strange because they do mention here that it's happened once before, which makes me think back to episode 4, I think, the Hank Pym episode. But yeah, Thor comes down to Earth, and next image, they think it's some kind of crazy like interdimensional earthquake or maybe like a monster, but it's actually this amazing like god with amazing hair and a ripped bod.
yeah, it's just Thor. Without his beard, without his belly.
Can I just say, like, this is so true to Thor in Thor 1, where he's just an absolute himbo.
I don't even know how you said that, on stream.
People know what it means, right? Thor is an absolute himbo in this episode, and he is literally the party god. And they explain this by saying that, uh, Thor would have always remained this way if it weren't for Loki, his relationship with his brother. And since that doesn't happen, and basically, yeah, Odin returns Loki instead of baby napping him to Asgard. And Loki grows up with the Frost Giants, and Thor grows up an only child. So when he finally like reaches the age of in Thor 1 where he's supposed to be king, he's still this immature, kind of stupid dude who's really reckless and loves violence. And it is really funny to see how in this episode, immediately when Odin goes into Odin's sleep, in the first Thor movie, it's so serious. Like Loki takes the chance to overthrow the throne, right? But in this episode, the two of them, like Thor and his mom, is just sneaking out to hang out with her sisters, and he's going to throw a party.
I guess it goes to show that, without Loki interfering in that business, in the Asgardians' business, right? Basically, Thor wouldn't have developed a strong relationship with his mother, and his relationship with his father would have been very strained. So basically, it's because Loki does all this mischief, keeps Thor on his foot,
Yeah,
and rather than
on
running
his
away from his
toes.
destiny, which is currently what he's doing, he kind of like looks up to his father because Loki is the irresponsible one.
Yeah. So without Loki to kind of counterbalance and make Thor into the hero he is, he's literally just this like teenage frat boy, maybe like college age mentally frat boy who is sneaking out under his father's like, well, his father is literally in hibernation.
Yeah, what you are looking for is, he's a beach bum.
Actually, yeah. So he is trying to hide it from Frigga, his mom, that he wants to go for a party. And the way that he does that is making the decision to go to this backwater, low tech planet called Earth, actually called Midgard.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so when the party starts, it is chaos as you would expect. we get this amazing scene of Thor and his gang uh, showing up at the party at Las Vegas, actually. Just kind
Yes.
of amazing. And then we
This is
get
like,
a huge.
this episode
Sorry.
of What If is like, what if the writers, right, wrote Thor as the next installment of Hangover 3,
But also they just took like every chance they could to like select every space related character into this episode. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, it is.
Like in this next picture, uh, we see actually the Ravagers from Guardians of the Galaxy, and then on the right there is actually Taika Waititi making a reference as himself.
Yeah, because he's wearing the pineapple shirt.
Yeah, exactly. And they're all having a drink together. And then we
He's
even get
giving
to see
he's giving one of our members Matrix a run for his money, with the Hawaiian shirt get up.
oh my gosh, yes. These are like, even though they're all in space, I would have never like put them together. So it's really fun to see them all here. And we even get to see in the next picture from Thor Ragnarok. What's his name? What's his name? Do you
Uh,
remember?
yeah, I totally forgot this guy.
But basically, he appears in Thor Ragnarok as sidekick to Hela, kind of. But they're kind of like buddies here, which is funny.
Thor's buddies with everyone.
Right? The party god. And it's just reference after reference. We even get this amazing scene where he's talking to a bunch of Skrulls and asking them to like change their head to look like him. So we have four Thors like looking up into the distance. And
Yeah,
this is exactly when he meets Jane, actually, and I guess this is one of the consistencies in the episode. I mean, we've seen in all the episodes there are some points in the stories that never change, and I guess in Thor's story is that he meets Jane and they fall in love. I guess.
in the previous scene where everyone becomes Thor, right? I feel it's like a silent nod to Secret Invasion,
Yeah.
where all the Skrulls take on the form of existing superheroes.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, Secret Invasion is gonna be one of the TV series coming soon. I think next year.
Yeah, but it won't be along the same lines as what has transpired in the Marvel comic universe, I'm sure. But it'll be
Yeah.
Skrulls.
It's gonna be more of Nick Fury and Captain Marvel and the Skrulls relationship, their relationship with the Skrulls in the Captain Marvel movie.
This is the Universal Skulls, right?
What?
Because they have,
The tree lines.
because they got 3 lines on their chin.
I guess. But yeah, they meet up, and Jane is actually, she wants to confront Thor about whether he knows anything about the cosmic disturbance. But Thor's charm works too well, I guess. She finds him too hot, and they end up partying. But first, there is this amazing scene where he kind of turns around and the Grandmaster is right there.
Yeah. Grandmaster.
Very
in all
lucky.
universes, he's still about the party.
Right? And there's just so many Easter eggs here that it's impossible to kind of follow the flow of the story. There's just so many. I think after this, yeah, she gets sucked up by Thor and they start partying. And everything kind of goes downhill from there. We get a Grandmaster like DJing the party. What?
Never a good sign.
It seems like a good time though.
Never. Whenever your grandfather has to take over,
Oh my
the
God.
DJ deck, right? It's never a good time. Trust me.
Yeah, but
Right.
if my grandfather was like Jeff Goldblum, it would be kind of cool. right?
No, it won't. Okay.
He's so cool. But yeah, after this we get another quick fire of references. We see Nebula and Korg, strangely. Uh, Nebula asks like Korg to blow on her dice. She
Playing
says,
playing craps.
yes, exactly. And yeah, we even get Valkyrie and
Drax.
Drax. Sorry, I'm like halfway through my afternoon cup of caffeine. But yeah, look at these unlikely pairs.
It's already evening. But yeah.
I find it a little bit interesting. I wonder if it has anything to do with the next Guardians of the Galaxy or the next Thor movie, because they start hanging out. They start going on adventures together. Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy. So these two worlds kind of like combine.
I guess because the space and universe thing, is pretty similar and close. But if you ask me, like Thor's universe is like totally different. Especially the one that's coming towards you. Love and Thunder, right? And Gore the God Butcher. That's a totally different realm of storytelling. And it's widely regarded, especially the run on Gore the God Butcher, right? It was running for about 30 issues. Written by Jason Aaron and art by Asad Ribic. Widely regarded as the best Thor storyline ever. Like, you don't need to read all the Golden Age stuff, where Thor spins his hammer and he has wings on his ears, and all this stuff. Don't know. You just got to read that, right? And it kind of establishes the pantheon of gods and how gods work in the Marvel universe, which has been scarcely explored before this, because gods and Marvel don't kind of align because it's about superheroes. So that particular subsection has been expanded greatly.
I mean, on one hand, there are viewers like you, right, who are really excited about the story, and even like personally, I am excited to see Jane's storyline evolve in Love and Thunder, because as we know, she becomes Thor. It was revealed in Comic-Con like I think 2 years ago, and
Yep.
I'm really excited to see whether they take the comic book. They follow that storyline. Not to mention in the MCU, she and Thor are kind of like broken up. So it'll be really interesting to see where they get back together, how her story interweaves back into the Thor franchise. But on the other hand, I think a really big portion of my excitement is seeing Chris Hemsworth in like the rock and roll sleeveless outfit.
I hope he maintains his belly.
He does not. Like, have you seen the set pictures? If you have not, you should Google it. It's glorious.
Go on.
But back to the episode. We get this really strange scene where Darcy marries Howard the Duck. Which is just like, I think the writers were like sitting down, they're like, what is the weirdest thing that we can do with this episode? And somebody threw this and they decided to go with it, and that's the only logical explanation I can think of.
That's exactly what I said, right? It's like The Hangover, but the Marvel version.
and Thor and Jane even get matching tattoos. It's kind of cute actually, because they each get their respective magics or sciences. I just have to say, I didn't even know that Asgardians could get tattoos. I mean, I guess they're fundamentally like superhumans, right? But still.
I mean, still flesh and blood.
But yeah, everything culminates in this morning after scene where everybody has crashed Jane's apartment, and we even get this Easter egg of Rocket in Jane's sink. He doesn't even have any speaking lines. Like, they couldn't hire Bradley Cooper for the episode.
Nah,
He's just lying there.
I'm telling you, this is exactly The Hangover, Because when Zach Galifianakis wakes up in the hotel, right, he finds like an actual tiger in the bathtub. So this is literally a reference to it, just that this animal is a lot more harmful than an actual tiger. Because it's a raccoon.
But yeah, another like Guardians of the Galaxy Thor crossover. And immediately, Jane gets pulled into Shield offices, actually. And it's a callback to the beginning of the episode where she's trying to call for help because she's noticing the Bifrost and she thinks this is gonna be the end of the world. And turns out it's not. It's just a giant party. And now she's being pulled in to explain her SOS, right? And we get this like really like almost kind of funny scene where we all know it's just kind of Thor partying away in the background, but they're really trying to assess the threat, and they actually call in they actually call in Captain Marvel to help resolve the issue, which seems like a really serious decision to make based on just a party.
Yeah, but it's the world's biggest party.
I guess so. So they just page, they call, they like drop her a message, and she shows up. And that's and they even explain why Nick isn't there, which is which again feels like something that they just threw out in the writers' room, because they explain that Nick tried to show up to the party and tried to stop it, but Korg rams into him and he flies away. He like flies away and gets injured. What?
I can't, for the life of me, I can't stomach this episode. But yeah, it was a fun thing.
It was fun, and man, Korg, watch where you're going. But yeah, we immediately snap back to the party, where they've already called Captain Marvel. We know she's going to show up, but we get this cute cameo of what do you call it? This is just we should clip together a compilation of all the me trying to remember their names. Sovereign, the Sovereign, right?
Even I'm not sure.
But yeah, they are from Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Yeah, the very beginning, if you guys still remember.
Oh yeah, okay.
The Golden Lady.
Yeah, they appeared so briefly, right? That they don't deserve any space on my hard disk.
I mean, yeah, I would say like they're not even secondary characters. They're just like weird disturbances that happen to appear once in a while. But yeah, immediately after this we get Loki, which I think everybody was super excited for, and it didn't click for me immediately that these were frost giants, but soon enough we get Loki and Thor like laughing out a storm and them call each other like brothers forever. Which is really fun because they kind of hate each other in canon.
It's like brother from another mother, like literally
Literally.
That line was utilized, and I was, wow, the meta-ness, right? Like when they are together, right, they don't become close, but when they are apart, they become close.
Yeah,
it's a good parallel to draw upon.
Look how much more like well adjusted their relationship got, having grown up not brothers.
And look at how both of them are irresponsible.
Exactly.
So no one won.
It's really fun. I mean, you even get the scene where Thor is like, "Look, Loki, a shooting star, make a wish." And Loki's trying to make a wish, but we all know it's actually, you know who it is.
El Capitan de Marvel.
Yeah. She appears and she basically kicks Star's ass.
For some weird reason, I cannot get behind her character.
But yeah, there's this really fun scene where they are literally like kicking each other from France all the way back to the States and back to France. And of course, the fighting scene is pretty cool. I would love to actually see them properly fight. We don't really get to explore their relationship. I think the only time they meet is in Infinity War,
Yeah.
when they're trying to they're trying to group together a bunch of people, and they're like, who's this? And it's Captain Marvel. And yeah, she's
Who's
really
Captain Marvel?
underutilized. She's totally like underdeveloped in the MCU, so it's kind of fun to see her in these episodes. Yeah, and she even gets to show off her ability to basically absorb like limitless amount of energy.
Yeah, that's a basically anything that falls within the spectrum of power, she can do it because she's a manifestation of the Power Stone.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. Yeah, you have to admit, pretty cool.
So I'm not gonna admit anything.
Mm. And anyway, Thor pretty much easily defeats her, and he puts Mjolnir on top of her, just like he did to Loki, in like several times actually.
You mean meow meow?
Meow meow.
Meow
Jonathan. You know, right? There's this interview. There's this interview where the interviewer is asking like the cast of the MCU, what is the name of Thor's hammer, and people are like meow 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 meow, and Scott Lang, what's his name?
Paul Rudd?
No, Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd like just stares into the camera and he's like, Jonathan.
Johnson.
Jonathan.
Oh, Jonathan.
Which is great. But yeah, it's kind of strange how he manages to defeat Captain Marvel so quickly, but it kind of gets like retconned, I guess, later on. But yeah, we get a couple more cameos from familiar characters, including literally Ragnarok, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Who's trying to hit on the Empire State Lady?
Yeah, it was a pretty violent battle. I forgot what's his name. Surtur.
Ah, yes, his crown thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surtur the fire giant.
And they even use the thing. God, this is testing my MCU knowledge. The blue thing.
What blue thing?
The blue freezy thing. You know, Thor 1. Is it the Tesseract? No, right? No, it's the blue thing, the freezy thing. Anyway, they use it to create like ice mustaches on Mount Everest. Mount Everest? No. Mount. God, can you just tell I'm not American?
Yeah, I can't tell.
But yeah. They're literally like defacing these like national monuments, which is so fun. Until they get into trouble, that is. I feel like I'm skipping a couple of images here. I don't know why. But yeah, basically they explain, Captain Marvel wasn't doing 100% of her power because she didn't want to destroy her surroundings, which is something that I didn't know Captain Marvel was capable of. I don't know. We've only got one movie, right? She has zero character. But yeah, they formalize a plan to take Thor down. Formulate a plan to take Thor down. And it doesn't really work. Actually, Jane's plan that works because she decides to call Thor's mom to bust him.
How do you take care of a beach bum who's out of control?
Call his mom.
His mom. Call his mom. Call his mom. I know it because, it worked on my friends.
What, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, Jane literally shouts loud enough until Heimdall hears her, brings her to Asgard, sends her to Frigga, and she's literally like drinking Chardonnay while explaining to Frigga what happened. And Frigga literally FaceTimes her son, and she's like, "Thor, what are you doing?" And he's trying to explain that he's doing a study group, but seriously, who's buying that? I think interestingly, this scene though, Frigga does mention that she used dark magic to project her image onto Midgard, which is, I don't know, is it something from the comics? Seems like a really interesting side note.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I'm not that well versed with Frigga as a character, so usually anything that's like astral projection and whatever belongs to Loki.
That makes sense. Interesting. And I think it's worth noting that Frigga was the one who taught Loki magic, pretty much.
Yeah, harness this magical capacity.
Yeah. So I guess this makes sense. But yeah, anyway, Frigga is literally flying back to Earth on the Bifrost. And Thor,
Frigga-
like, just like any kind of kid who is trying to avoid getting into trouble with their mom, he's frantically trying to clean up. But he in the process is trying to recruit some of his party goers to help, and they're kind of reluctant. And that's where we get this scene of Yondu, who hasn't appeared yet. But I love Yondu.
Because they know Frigga is freaking angry.
Lame.
Hey,
Yeah,
wordplay, man.
I love Yondu. I'm so sad that he doesn't get to appear more, so I'm happy that he's here. And we even get Mantis. So I think that's pretty much the entire Guardians of the Galaxy cast, main cast here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they frantically try and clean up Midgard and the remnants of the party, including unleaning the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Which they thought they caused, but it was just a natural phenomenon.
So now it's the straight Tower of Pisa.
It's just a tower. It's not
Yeah, there's nothing
There's no
special about it
straight-
anymore.
leaning tower, etc., etc.
But yeah, they somehow managed to clean up everything in time, and even bring like blackboards and have everybody sit down so that it's as if Thor is teaching a class, which is hilarious. And Frigga comes like down to Midgard for literally nothing. She like bids farewell to her sisters, like, "I'll see you again in 1,000 years. I'm leaving early so I can bust my son." And she comes down to nothing. I just feel sad for her.
Well, she doesn't come down for nothing. Because as you will see, the ending of this episode is ultimately satisfying.
But before that, Thor does get kind of busted because he tries to summon Mjolnir, and when Mjolnir comes back, it's covered in graffiti and beads and underwear. Oops.
Nothing to say, Thor, nothing to say.
And we even get this scene of Captain Marvel coming in to save Thor and kind of cover his alibi. And Frigga actually recognizing her, which is interesting. I mean, I'll take any Captain America lore that I could get. And it seems like Frigga knows about her existence and what she's doing to save space. Interesting. And the episode, of course, can't end without a resolution to this love story. Although it kind of starts in a funny way because Thor literally goes to her and it's like, "You told my mom." But still, they're going on a date and it's cute, and I guess it's the same as the ending of Thor 1.
All I can say is that, I can't wait till the next episode. Like, I'm just, you can see that I'm just waiting for the next episode. Like, I'm doing my level best not to commentate on Thor.
But yeah,
Yeah.
sure, let's move on. I think, like, interestingly, this was kind of the calm before the storm. We had a couple of really depressing episodes leading up to this, and then having the Thor episode felt like, oh, what if it's becoming light and breezy again? But lo and behold, the end of the episode, we get to see Ultron with the Infinity Stones, and this is, well, we're going to episode 8. It's explained in episode 8. Shall we just jump right into it?
Yeah. Basically, what happens is that, well, when basically, if you saw the ending of that episode, you basically think that Ultron in that universe has gotten hold of all of the Infinity Stones, right?
Yeah.
And basically, he acquired Vision's body, which was always meant to be his. So basically, if you saw that and then you thought that, oh, Thor has to fight with, the Thanos version of Ultron, basically, right?
Yep.
So it kind of like, you would have like, oh wow, okay, so he has to deal with this Ultron. But this Ultron literally links back to this week's episode. So
Yes,
that's
it's
what
the
makes it
Ultron
so,
from this episode.
yeah. So, let's get the ball rolling.
Wait, even before that, right? Hey, I forgot my train of thought.
I'm sure, okay, I know what it was. I know what it was.
What?
I know exactly what you were thinking, right?
I just
You're about,
remembered.
yeah, I know. You're about to say that, I was right all along, right?
Shut
That's what
up.
you wanted to.
I was
I
gonna
know.
say that I think what you said earlier was a natural conclusion, right? I think it was kind of maybe it was intentional because we were complaining how every single episode seemingly ended on a cliffhanger, right? Like
No,
the
no, no. You
Killmonger
were
episode ended on the cliffhanger. I was complaining. The zombie episode ended on a major cliffhanger. So I thought this was a cliffhanger too. I thought it was not gonna link back to the final 2 episodes at all. So imagine my surprise, and you can say it.
I told you so. I told you so. And I didn't even tell you since like episode 3 or 4, okay? I told you since episode 1, right? All of you non believers. How could you all have done this to me? Your boy, right? It's okay. I'm a nice and forgiving person, okay? I will forgive you all if you all just say that I'm right, okay? Doesn't take so much. But yes, it's like I know Marvel very well. If they wanted to do one off stories, they would end it so they don't create speculation. So with this, right, it's pretty much confirmed that the multiversal Avengers are assembling in the next episode, right? Like,
or right.
oh wow, wow, look at this person, the non-believer trying to jump in the last minute to get on the bandwagon.
Or right. What if it's just Doctor Strange? What if it's just Doctor Strange?
So what is the use of all the other episodes?
I guess.
Wow, like
Okay, I mean there's two branches from here, right? The first branch is either either the Watcher uses Doctor Strange's ability to open like portals and his sheer like amount of magic to recruit a multiversal Avengers across all of the episodes that we've seen so far, which is your theory. Or I guess he and Doctor Strange just duke it out with Ultron.
the latter sounds like a line that you picked off Twitter or something by a 12-year-old. The idea is that you want to make it epic, right? Because they're talking about multiverse, right? So that the leader of this multiverse will be Peggy Carter. That's why she's the first episode, right? And then you have T'Challa, who has influence. Like they've already built the heroes for you.
I know.
Just that
I'm
you
just
don't see.
trying to explore alternate options, and you are like, no, I'm right. You're wrong. Bye, bitch.
I said none of those things except that I'm right. Just so you know, right? Just for the, just to set records clear, right? That don't worry, I'll be right again. Okay.
Oh
Like,
man.
it's like the same time in Infinity War when everybody was like, "Oh my god, half of the heroes disappeared." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure there's not going to be Spider-Man anymore after this." And why are you all so shocked?
Oh, come on. That I didn't even think that.
Yeah, I mean, once you can see past the future, it's a bit tough, to live in the moment.
Man, is anything exciting to you now?
Hey man, multiversal Avengers.
Anyway, let's touch a little bit more about who would exactly be in the multiversal Avengers, right? Oops. And let's jump right into episode 8, which I think you have a lot to talk about, obviously.
Of
So
course.
the episode begins with actually it begins with the Watcher narrating how certain multiverses are sadder than the rest, but this particular one really breaks his heart, and we already know that it's gonna be tragic. And this is the episode where what if Ultron won? So we get to see the final hope of humanity, which, surprise, surprise, it's Black Widow and Hawkeye. Interesting combo, I would say, but it immediately kind of made sense to me because all of the other Avengers are kind of, extremely overpowered, and they're all very brute force, and they're people who overpower their enemies with sheer power, right? Exactly. So
Um,
it
I
kind of
think
makes
what they
sense to
wanted
me
to.
that the two assassins would make it out alive.
I mean, I'm not going to put them as assassins. It just shows that these two are the most normal people with no superpowers. They can't fly, but at the end of the day, they have the survival instinct, which is
Yeah,
inherent in
exactly.
superhumans. Yeah, so that's what they are. They are survivors. They look for ways to survive in the bleakest of times, which is what the entire what if premise is, right? And they gave um, in this universe, um, Clint Barton is right-handed.
I think in the next image we will see that, which is a kind of a strange. I don't know. It's so strange. Like, where did this come from? Like, suddenly Clint doesn't have a hand. And he kind of has a Bucky-esque metal arm.
Yeah, so Bucky's arm is made from Wakanda, right?
Yeah.
This arm looks very clunky, so 100% it's stuck tag.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, I think it's just there to emphasize that this is some post-apocalyptic, terrible world where the characters that we know and love just have they're cyborgs now. Like, how many times has that happened?
For those of you who are familiar with Days of Future Past from the X-Men, which is
Mm,
probably the best two X-Men issues ever in the history of X-Men.
my favorite movie
Basically,
too.
yeah,
Actually, no,
yeah,
Logan is my favorite movie.
the movies don't do the comic book justice. But yeah, what I'm saying is that this is exactly how it was, right? But instead of uh, Ultron clones, you have the Sentinels hunting down mutants. So this is exactly the same setting. So I
That's
think it is
true.
a
Yeah,
callback towards X-Men.
yeah, that makes so much sense. But yes, we actually get to see what it would be like in a world where Ultron won, and there are multiple there's a countless amount of Ultron clones, right, that he created, that are monitoring Earth and all of the other planets at the same time, and it's crazy. It's crazy. It's literally a post-apocalyptic novel come to life. And but we still see Black Widow and Hawkeye trying to fight against it. And this is when we get a little bit of backstory as to how this happened. And as you guys remember, Age of Ultron, right? We get this scene where Tony is looking at the Tesseract, and he's talking about imagining a world where, sorry, this is the Mind Stone, right? Stupid colors.
Which one?
Yeah, it's the Mind Stone, the one in the side Loki's scepter.
Scepter, yeah, exactly.
It's the Mind Stone, right?
Yeah, it's the Mind Stone.
Yeah. See, if it were the Mind Stone, why didn't they just make it yellow?
It's blue energy, but yellow color stone.
Doesn't fucking make sense. But yeah, he's looking at the Mind Stone and Loki's scepter, and he's talking about how he imagines a ring of iron around the world to protect Earth from extraterrestrial attacks. And instead of Ultron, instead of the Vision body actually being taken over by Jarvis, it turns out to be Ultron, and Ultron gets his way. He inhabits the Vision body, and literally it's Vision gone rogue by Jarvis. Like, there's no more of that. And we get this creepy scene of that happening too. Can I just say it's so weird to hear anybody else other than Paul Bettany's voice come out of Vision?
I just want to shout out the fact that, fun fact that Ross Marquand is the voice for the Ultron variant we see here, right? But it's supposed to be James Spader, and those of you who have actually watched Age of Ultron know that James Spader is an amazing voice actor, right? And I was just sad that he was not, reprising his role, because his Ultron really sounds, magnificent. That's it. I just wanted to say that.
Just to touch a little bit on the voice acting for this series, so I do feel like for the most part they did pick voice actors that are very similar to the original. Like the Drax voice actor was not voiced by the same person. Obviously Ultron. Then we have Lake Bell, who replaced Scarlett Johansson, and there's literally no difference in my mind. They sound exactly the same. But there are some that are not so obvious, like Tony Stark. Even Chris Evans' voice doesn't really match.
Yeah, but the Ultron one really makes a difference because, he's a major villain, and he has a very direct mindset, and his prime directive is very clear, so I love it. I always imitate Ultron when
Wait, is Age of Ultron your favorite Avenger movie?
Yeah, probably.
Oh.
I know a lot of people don't like it, right? But I understand what Ultron is, right? What he's trying to do, and the layered beauty. I can easily say it's Marvel's most beautiful mess of a movie.
That's interesting because I remember having this conversation with you about if we were villains, if we were any villain in the MCU, who would we be? And you said Ultron, and I said Thanos. I would be Thanos.
Yeah, and you will see why Ultron is far superior than Thanos in this episode.
It's not about superiority. It's about which villain aligns the most with our personal personalities, our values as of now. Because every villain is. I mean, this is if you guys know Wicked, the Broadway musical. Is a villain. Is a villain made a villain, or are they born a villain, right?
Wow, I love the tangent of how you have stringed together such a beautiful narrative to bring this conversation to something that you love the most, which is Broadway music.
No, I mean, Wicked is the best example of a villain origin story. Okay, it's literally Alpha Bow wakes up and she turns green because of her mother's infidelity, so it isn't even her fault. her entire life she's treated differently because her skin is green. People think she's like evil because her skin is a different color. Like she's literally just Gamora.
It's
And so
amazing.
she transforms into the villain.
That was a great summary. But yeah, let's just go on, right? And I will tell you why Ultron is really like one of the well thought out villains, right? And he doesn't need
Sure.
to he doesn't need to be like this epic person or whatever, right? But he just has a really clear prime directive.
Anyway, this picture we get to see Tony Stark die again. Although it's just a snippet this time, but I think Tony fans are really angry right now. But we get to see basically what happens to the Avengers after Ultron goes rogue, and they all die here. and this is
I like
when
how
we flash back to the present.
you automatically say, the Avengers die.
I mean,
But
yeah.
just so you know, this What If episode is 100% based off Age of Ultron, by the way. Just so you know. Like, What If Ultron won, right? Is
Yeah.
basically based off what would happen if Ultron um, succeeded. So
Yeah.
if you remember in Age of Ultron 2, the first thing Tony did was that he controlled all the nuclear codes.
Yep.
He took access to it, right? So the next possible method that Ultron could use to derail the momentum of the Avengers as heroes was to take a chunk of land, which is Sokovia, and just drop it back onto Earth, right? Literally creating death, despair, and then there'll be very little trust among the heroes. And I'll explain this because a lot of people definitely won't understand what actually happens in this episode. So when Ultron was given his purpose, right? And if you remember that, when he came out, he said that all of you are unworthy, right?
Yep.
Right? The Avengers are flawed.
Yep.
And his prime directive, right, was when he heard Stark say, "Peace in our time."
Yep.
So Ultron is a very complicated program, right? And it has the world's database of knowledge within it because it has to solve, problems. And peace in our time, when Stark said it, he said it as a matter of irony, which is funny because Ultron is made out of metal, but he wouldn't understand irony because he's programmed to solve, issues. And what happens is that you see this montage in Age of Ultron, right, where he looks at, um, he looks at history and what has happened, from Hitler to Mahatma Gandhi, and peace, right? So peace in our time. And he realized that peace in our time means that winning wars, right? And peace is only achieved after a war. And if you are looking at it, right, it's a chicken and egg problem because in order for you to achieve peace in our time, you have to win the war. And if you're winning the war means there's casualty. So he couldn't understand the irony of it. And he realized that there is only war because the Avengers exist in the first place. And if you're looking for peace in our time, all the Avengers have gone through war, with the first culprit being Steve Rogers. That's why when Ultron says that you, right, are the machination of everything that is wrong, and you lead it, because that is Steve Rogers, and Steve Rogers is a soldier. And what does a soldier do? A soldier is the frontline guy in any war.
Yep.
So this literally breaks down the entirety on why the Avengers was the problem for Ultron. So for him to do his prime directive, he has to eradicate the Avengers because the Avengers are the beginning and the end, the chicken and the egg, and that unending irony. So when he sifted through all those, knowledge based, right, he came to the decision that the Avengers would be the problem. because they would always incite war or incite peace. And that's why he had to eradicate them, right? And remember what he said: I have to remake humankind, right? I have to remake the world. He wasn't going to. He wasn't going to um, commit random genocide like what Thanos is doing. He was going to wipe out humanity and create a new version of it, right? And he was basically what he Ultron's vision basically was that he humans, whenever you give them a chance, right, it it isn't worth it. So he has to build it from ground up again, right, and set the rudimentary tone and the rigid regimen that he has already set. And that's why you see it in that world building process itself, why it's similar to Days of the Future Past.
Yeah, but also that reminds me of that that very iconic final scene in Age of Ultron where Vision is destroying the very final Ultron bot, right? And they are having a conversation about why Vision is even giving the humans a chance. Even though Vision or Jarvis inherently understands as a super complex AI himself, right? That whatever humans do, it will lead to destruction in the end. Like he has predicted that as well, but the difference between Vision and Ultron is that, Vision believes in humans, the ability to hope and persevere, and it's that trope, of how a robot in a movie, a TV show, they're searching for they're trying to create an ideal world, right? That just naturally cannot exist. There is no way that you can align all the probabilities in the world to create something perfect. Versus humans trying to save themselves. This is it's a story as old as time,
Yeah,
or as
but
old as pop culture.
and that's why Ultron's prime directive was to wipe out everyone, because
Yeah.
he knew no matter what, like what based on what Vision said, and I quote him saying, "How unbelievably naive," right? Because that was such a great line. Because Vision is such a dong when it comes to all these things, right? The Vision basically, Jarvis 100% is corrupted by feelings and emotions,
Yeah.
but Ultron is devoid of such things. And that is the clear difference between robot with feelings and cool robot. Okay, so
But
and
right, I mean, you remember in Age of Ultron, actually, this exact scene where the Avengers all die at the hands of Ultron, I believe, is the aftermath of the party. Remember?
yep,
And the Ultron bot comes up and he's like, "I've got no strings," and he sings the Pinocchio song. And they all managed to defeat him in the movie, but I guess in this case they all immediately die. But this is also the scene when Vision proves that he is worthy by picking up Mjolnir or Mew.
mew mew.
And now it's making me think like how interesting uh, the conditions of being worthy is. I mean, we've seen three people who are worthy, right? We've seen Thor, Steve, and Vision, and I guess what makes a person worthy is that human compassion. So
How can you forget the space donkey that is Beta Ray Bill? But anyways,
the frog, Throg.
uh, Hulk can also live Mjolnir through brute force, by the way, right?
That doesn't
And
count.
yeah, but you're not supposed to be able to lift it if you're not worthy. So the Hulk, right, to some degree, he is worthy. Um, but the worthy thing was retcon during Jason Aaron's run. So there's like the All Father Thor and the All Father Odin, right? So it's not just the enchantment and not just the metal that was used to enchant um, Mjolnir. Mjolnir has a will of its own, right? It's great deep lore, right? I'm not going to go into it right about now because right now it's Ultron's moment to shine. Okay,
Yeah,
so Ultron
and
he just did what was right, and he literally wiped out all the useless people on Earth, which is everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he unlocked all the nuclear codes, he killed everything, and as we see in this scene, it's like one of my best scenes. Like I love it so much. He slices Thanos in half. Yes.
I was about to say that, like, you know, this scene to me, right? I can talk about it forever, right? I think, like, firstly, people have always seen Thanos. At least, like, people who have only watched the movies, right? Thanos seemed like this such insurmountable force, right? It took so much effort just to defeat him, and every single thing, like, after that, all the TV shows, like, what if it's just totally undermining him? He's getting killed so fast, and we even see it here, and not Vision, Ultron here, even he just uses the Mind Stone to
Yep.
slice him in half. He doesn't even use anything else, which is just, my god.
You know
But
why?
mm,
Because he knew that Thanos was coming.
yep, that's the only thing. Like, Thanos didn't react fast enough because he
Yeah.
still has to
And
wield the power of the stones in order to use them. They don't like automatically protect him.
indeed. And how Thanos died, split in half, pretty much like the half and half genocide, right? So these Marvel people like to do all these things. Why do you think they killed him by splitting him in half? Right? It's a callback to his own, his own agenda.
It's amazing though. Also, I wanted, since we were on the topic of Ultron as a villain, right? Thanos as a villain is completely different. I feel like what makes him different is, and we see it in What If episode 2, where we see T'Challa actually able to convince Thanos to come over to the good side just by proving his argument wrong, which is hilarious. But also it shows that, as principled as Thanos is, he still has that vision-like quality about him, that humanness, that compassion. Like, the reason why he was able to sacrifice Gamora for the Soul Stone was because he had that side to him. Like, with Ultron would have never been able to get the Soul Stone by himself.
Yeah. So, what do you think? So in this episode, right? Like I was seeing online, there's like a lot of backlash. How did Thanos get the Soul Stone?
I mean, he threw Gamora off the cliff, presumably. I don't think that changed.
Right. So there was a lot of like talk, and I would just say like, he would have just threatened the family, and say, hey, you just killed this guy, so I want the Soul Stone. Like Thanos could have used any means necessary to get the Soul Stone. I don't know why people are like, so.
I mean, the only reason why they showed his relationship with Gamora is because they wanted to develop his character as a villain, right?
Yeah.
They wanted to show that he had this soft side despite his genocidal intent. That he had good intentions, behind his actions, although the way that he chose to do it was so extreme.
Yeah, in episode 2, he became a MLM genocide salesperson, right? Like a preacher where he goes, have you thought about genocide?
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't sell it as genocide, which is also very him.
Yeah, we can move on.
But yeah, this is the moment when he literally slices the Infinity Gauntlet and Thanos' like hand, to get the Infinity Stones, and we get this glorious magical girl transformation scene when Ultron officially becomes Infinity Ultron.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, look.
And I like how if you watched Age of Ultron, right? I think it was a deleted scene where Thor goes through, the pools of vision, right? And he sees what is going on, right? And
no,
I
it's
think
not a deleted scene.
It was in the original one. It was a deleted scene.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah. So
yep.
He says that I see this in the center of it all, right? Like he points to the Soul Stone, to the Mind Stone, and the Mind Stone is the central stone in the Infinity Gauntlet, and it is also the center of Ultron's mind. So it's kind of like a lot of foreshadowing and foretelling
Yeah.
what is going to happen. And the Mind Stone seems to be like the most powerful stone at the current in the way they currently say it, basically, or what the plot and narrative feels. But he looks cool as hell. Like any Gundam would lose to Ultron.
But yeah, I mean, all the previous episodes have been pretty. I mean, the changes have been a bit small, right? Changes all on a very smaller scale. Like, what if Killmonger saved Tony, right? But this episode was one of the turning points, right? It was the main plot of Age of Ultron, and without that, like, if Ultron really won and everything would have gone to shit. Kind of interesting. And I know you personally are really happy that Ultron is the one to change everything because Ultron is your favorite villain. But yeah, let's move on. After he gains all the Infinity Stones, he basically goes on an intergalactical massacre, I guess. And we get a couple of clips. I only managed to get some of them. But we get Guardians of the Galaxy here. Oh yeah, true. Gamora is here. So I guess we got the Soul Stone elsewhere. He just beat up the Red Guardian.
Yeah, but he doesn't love the Red Skull.
Red Skull.
Yeah.
I mean, but maybe he can threaten the Red Skull.
Who doesn't? Red Skull doesn't love anyone. He's he's the superhero Nazi.
Literally. But yeah, we get Guardians of the Galaxy. We even get Korg. And I'm not sure if this is where the image fits in. I was a bit panicked when I sorted out the images, but there is this scene where Ultron is literally taking a munch on the galaxy.
A munch?
A munch.
A munch.
Munch.
A munch. So who's this? Like I had to double back on this particular scene to make sure it was Ultron, because you know why?
Why?
Because it looked exactly like Galactus.
True, and but he's red color.
And Galactus is the eater of worlds. Like he literally.
Galactus is not red color. But you know what I mean. We get like a couple of scenes here actually. There's even a Death Star scene where Ultron blows up a planet. But actually, I think that's after this when he finds Captain Marvel and he literally blows up the planet to defeat her. Actually, this entire episode was very Star Warsy.
I mean, it was more towards the multiverse side of things. And it was funny because I'm sure we missed the moment, or I'm sure that I think we haven't hit the moment yet. Is that Clint Barton sacrifices himself.
Not yet.
Oh, we haven't reached it. Okay, cool.
Not yet. But yeah, we get this really cool sequence of events where he's just wreaking havoc on all these planets that we know from all the movies. And it finally reaches a point where he has destroyed everything in presumably the 616 universe, and he literally he's lost his purpose. He's staring at the vast emptiness of space and he can't do anything anymore. And that's when he realizes somebody is there. And this is a real oh shit moment for the Watcher. Because the Watcher realizes that Ultron can sense him. It's kind of bonkers.
Yeah, just to read off the comments a bit, Pangang King said that, sorry Char, to quote the Observer, we see now. I'm not sure what you're apologizing for. You don't need to apologize for anything. But yeah, Observer, the Watcher is... Yeah, he has always just been watching, But I like how at this particular moment when Ultron reaches his, his next level of consciousness, he knows that the Watcher is lurking, and that was the beautiful part of it because before this, Ultron has never rested because he has only focused on doing what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
But the minute he kind of finished it, he had a moment to think. Like finally, he got a moment to himself, and right in that moment, right, he ascended to the next level. Right, this is like great. Like it's really superb.
But
That's why.
yeah, if you remember Age of Ultron, Tony and Bruce are basically trying to map the Mind Stone in an AI format similar to how they've done Jarvis, and we get to see what's inside the Mind Stone or inside Ultron, and it's a constantly evolving and growing and changing in thinking entity, I would say. So we get to see Ultron in the movie. His ideology literally begins with peace in our time, and it becomes so extreme and so evolved. Like that chain of thought is not just, it doesn't stop there. You get to see that in this episode as well. So
And Ultron is also constant evolution, right? So it kind of shows that from just being a program and then having a vibranium body and then having combined his program with Vision's vibranium body and then achieving the entire set of Infinity Stones to finally reaching peace in our time. You see that he thought that he would stop there, and nope, he does not. He
yeah,
evolves further, right?
which is I think the speed of it is also what contributes to him being a villain. Like when you think back to all the other villains or even all our characters so far, right? They benefit from marinating on a thought for a long time. It's just a human thing, right? You think about a principle or value for a very long time before you adopt it, right? It becomes part of your life gradually. But with Ultron, it's literally like making snap decisions based on all this information, and it's tyrannical. It's too extreme.
I love it.
I know you
Because
love it.
I don't like all these morally ambiguous villains. I need a villain who knows what he's doing.
I like morally ambiguous villains. I like Thanos. Like I like how he has this moment where he's just in the garden and he's nursing like his injured hand and he's cooking potatoes and he's thinking about all the things he's done.
Yeah, I hate a villain, right, who goes on a genocidal rampage to end up becoming a farmer. Like there's no way, right, that I'm gonna accept a villain like that. Please
It's
die.
kind of
Right?
great though. I like it.
Right? He doesn't even fry the potatoes in the right manner. Can't be more angry with Thanos.
But yeah, the Watcher is realizing that something is really wrong. He goes on a monologue saying that he has seen everything, he knows everything that happens. It kind of reminds me of Kang in the last episode of Loki, where he's like having this realization that something is happening that he has not seen before. But where Kang was really excited, the Watcher is really panicked because Ultron realizing him is not supposed to happen. Even Doctor Strange realizing he's there was supposed to happen, but Ultron, So he tries to escape by running away to a faraway multiverse, and he ends up running to where Black Widow and Hawkeye are, and they are actually in. I believe this was in the Winter Soldier, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, where they're searching the files for Zola, who was the, I guess, sub-villain, sidekick villain in Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah, Arnim Zola, yeah.
Yeah. So they're searching for him as an AI, and it's kind of funny how it links back to the canon MCU here, because Black Widow Natasha here knows what you're looking for, because she was with Steve in the Winter Soldier. They found Zola there, and so she's trying to find him again. And we get a very panicked Watcher here as well, making sure that they do find it before it's too late.
Remember when you were saying, "Oh no, the Watcher's not going to interfere." No, the Watcher's a nice person. The Watcher, hides behind and
I never
he's
said
a
he was a
peeping
nice
Tom,
person.
right? So, and now you know that what kind of urge he has to interfere. So he's not just going to take, Stephen Strange, right? He's going to find all the ways possible to meddle with time.
Sure, I get it.
I gotta nail all of these, things down. So, no variant timelines come out, with.
I mean, I guess I'm used to being disappointed now. Okay, I think I'll love What If Episode 9, okay? But every single prediction I've had about Marvel hasn't really panned out. Like Loki, right? I thought that it was going to be so much more complex than that. I thought they were gonna go so many more levels of character development, but it did not, and I was disappointed. There we go. So, anyway, back to this. This is probably one of my favorite parts of the episode because we get a teaser, a cameo. Like, what do you even call it? But she picks up the Red Guardian shield, which is you haven't watched Black Widow.
Yeah, but I know it's her father.
Yeah, it's her father's shield, but it's also a reference to the comics, right?
I didn't read Black Widow comics.
I believe it is.
It was too Russian for me.
I love Steve, and I love the shield, and I love the symbolism of the shield, so I like this moment.
It just shows that she will never be Captain America.
It actually reminded me of how in the comics she is a super soldier. I kind of wish it's unfortunate that they didn't wasn't able to reach that part of her character story in the movies, because it would have made so much more sense.
Yeah, but I think they wanted to, but then she sued Disney, and Disney said it's all over.
Yeah. Oh well. Then we get this moment where the Watcher is really panicking and telling Clint not to give up when the answer is literally in the next box. And he's debating with himself whether he should interfere or not. And thankfully, they actually managed to find it by themselves. So he's like kind of relieved in that moment. But yeah, so they find the Zola program. They manage to travel there to input him, but at the same time, Ultron has found him, so the Watcher is out of time. Ultron actually manages to go into this crystal ball like HQ of the Watcher.
The mirror world, basically.
That makes sense.
Which is what Stephen Strange is trapped in. It's the same type of spell, where people from outside cannot see you, but you're on the inside looking out.
That was not clear at all.
Go on.
Not clear at all. But yeah, it's kind of amazing in itself that Ultron manages to find it and then attack the Watcher inside it. And it makes me, I think, as a casual viewer, wonder, is the Infinity Stones really this powerful?
It is.
Huh.
I mean, he committed genocide in a snap of a finger.
True. Yeah, I guess, like, as a casual fan, we didn't really get to see the extent of what the Infinity Stones could do, because Thanos only used it for one thing.
What do you mean? Tony saved the universe?
I mean, yeah, but you know what I mean?
Saving the universe is, yeah, right?
I mean, okay, for me, right, when I see the Infinity Stones, I know theoretically that they can do all these things, but for Thanos, I think in the grand scale of things, he uses it for quite a small thing, actually. He uses it to destroy, he uses it to create Like, he uses the reality stone to create like minions. He doesn't use it for expansion or knowledge or even like those big brain things that Ultron is
Yeah,
here.
because his prime directive is so low tech.
I
You get
know,
it?
but as a viewer who has only seen the Infinity Stones through Thanos' usage of them, that's kind of like my understanding. So that's why when it reached this section, I was like, oh, I mean, it makes sense, I guess, but I didn't know.
You need an ultimate superior being to unlock the full potential of you know the stones.
This is why I would be Thanos. I'll just retire to my garden, plant potatoes, cook stew.
Not going to take any of this. Let's move on.
But yeah, in the next scene we jump to Zola. Whoa, this image is really small. But yeah, we jump to Zola. He goes on the same spiel as in the Winter Soldier. They convince him to hack into Ultron, and it doesn't really work. Because all they try to hack into Ultron and all the robots are supposed to stop. But it turns out Ultron is out of range, which is a totally like a strangely normal tech problem. And as a
Yeah,
result, we get this.
but you know why he's out of range, right?
Yeah, I know why he's out of range, but it's so funny, It's like Ultron
I
is in the
know.
jungle. There's no signal or something. But yeah, because of that, we get this entirely unnecessary scene. The recreation
It's a
of
very poor excuse, right? Sounds
it's
like the
so
excuse you forgot to come to work like that. Hey, my phone got no signal.
no, that makes sense to me, right? But I think this scene where Hawkeye sacrifices himself, and we get this essentially a recreation of the Soul Stone scene in Endgame, right? It doesn't make sense at all. Like, he didn't need to sacrifice himself. I don't think anybody cares that much about the Endgame sacrifice to recreate it now. Like,
You
came out of
don't
nowhere.
understand, right? Hawkeye gave up.
I
He
know
didn't.
he gave up, but
He doesn't. He's not like sacrificing himself, right? He's just tired and he wants to give up,
it's so
and
stupid.
he doesn't want to ask Black Widow to give up with him, which is the perfect parallel to what Black Widow did because Black Widow wanted to sacrifice herself. It's two different parallels to draw upon, and I like how you are not willing to accept this because there's already been foreshadowed in the episode that Hawkeye is just tired. He has lost hope, which is what Ultron does.
I think
It's not
it's
50-50 chance. It's it's literal annihilation of everything, right? So, and he has no family, nothing, right? So it is very acceptable.
I I get that, right, theoretically, but I feel like it's a Captain Marvel case here, right, where Hawkeye just simply doesn't have enough character development for me to immediately jump to that conclusion. Because from my understanding of him in the movies, right, even when everything fails, he still has Nat. Like, I mean, he still has Natasha. Uh, they're like best friends. They are together throughout anything. Like, my understanding of his character is that even if everything was gone, he would still be by her side just to help her achieve what she wants to achieve. So it's a bit, I don't know, it just feels, this scene just felt unnecessary. Like, he could have easily just escaped with her. And I get the whole he gave up thing. It was foreshadowed when he was searching in the boxes, but yeah, maybe the episode was too short to fully hit home.
I mean, I told you before, right? Hawkeye doesn't really have powers, so he should have just died earlier. So yeah, let's move on.
But yeah, so we get the scene of him firing into the, actually strangely biblical where there's this like weirdly classic art art piece scene where he's firing an arrow into the horde of Ultron robots, and yep, I know they made it beautiful, but I don't know, what didn't get there for me. So yeah, in the next scene, she has escaped. She has escaped with Zola, and that's kind of where we leave that for the rest of the episode, because it immediately jumps back to Ultron's fight with the Watcher, and they actually go into multiple universes throughout their fight, which is so fun. But I want to point out this one universe because Steve becomes the USA president, which is so unlike its character, so you can just tell it's a multiverse thing.
Also, that is a reference to the Ultimates comic, where Steve Rogers, as Captain America, as an operating hero, becomes the president. So literally, he manages and he goes on ground missions. Talk about leading by example.
Man, that's crazy. But yeah, if you guys didn't know that his full name is Stephen Grant Rogers, there you go. and we get just a really cool fight scene, including this power up like Dragon Ball style moment from the Watcher. And this is when I kind of realized that his body proportions are super weird.
I told you that he is a big bobblehead, right?
I know his head is big, but I didn't realize that he's 2 times bigger than the average human.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think the Watcher, for most people, but also for me, right, he's a fairly new character. I don't know the extent of his powers actually, so I don't really know how powerful he is. But he does have a moment like this here.
I just want to point out something that a lot of people miss out. You see these purple balls that surround the Watcher.
I read about that.
What is it called?
Kirby. It's
Kirby.
No, it's Jack Kirby, right? The artist. It's a homage to him.
No, it's a power.
I'm gonna Google this.
I like how Kirby, and the first thing that I thought.
No, it is him. Like.
Yeah, but he's using the power to manifest, right? What is this power called?
Wait.
Shows you that.
I read this just now.
And you see, right, when you have to read and don't remember, it's taking time.
What?
No. I'm just gonna tell it to you, okay?
What?
Okay. It's called the power cosmic. Right? And it's the same power that Silver Surfer uses. And the same power that Doctor Doom will get later on.
Wait. I was looking at it from a purely trivia standpoint, and I was like, oh, this is an homage to Jack Kirby's art style from the Marvel comics of past.
Yeah, I didn't ask, whose art style it was, or who drew the Watcher. I said, what's the power? And so yeah, I'm just gonna say that because this is also foreshadowing. Because you've never seen the power cosmic in the Marvel universe yet.
I don't think anybody will notice this actually.
Boom.
But yeah. Moving on. And then we get this, I think probably the coolest scene in the entire. No, sorry, I'm recording something. I'm live now. I'm live streaming my grandmother. Sorry. We get this like probably the coolest scene in the entire episode where he was crashing he was slamming Ultron was slamming the Watcher through all these multiple universes. And I just want to point this out here. Because this is a Star Wars reference? Is it?
Yeah, yeah,
Where
it
is this?
This is in man, where did they all fight?
Where is it?
Anakin,
Oh,
Anakin-
that scene, Anakin and
yeah,
Obi-Wan.
man, I totally forgot. It's a
Right.
lava planet.
Right.
It's not
Cool.
Tatooine, you know.
I mean, obviously it's not Tatooine.
Yeah, it's one of the homeworlds of the Sith.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Okay, then yeah, the battle pretty much ends there and the Watcher
Ah, it's
gets
yeah,
defeated.
it's Mustafar.
Musta what?
Mustafar. It's not
Okay.
Mustamir. It's Mustafar.
What is it the name of Simba's dad?
No, that is Mustafa.
But yeah, the Watcher gets promptly defeated here. Sorry. Bye. and the episode ends with the ultimate "I told you so" to me. But also, I remember texting you and saying that I was so happy with this scene that
For all the wrong reasons, but yeah, it's okay.
okay, I love Captain America, right? But I think heading into Phase 4, where Cap is a lesser, like a sub character.
He's dead.
No, I mean like Captain America as the hero. So in this case, it will be Sam. And Sam,
Oh.
I presumably won't have as big of a role as Steve had. And the kind of leader figure, or I guess the Tony figure, is Doctor Strange. So you're gonna be hearing me talk a lot about Doctor Strange in the coming year, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah, the Watcher goes to evil Doctor Strange from episode 5
Oh,
for help, which is just shows you how dire the stakes are. And I just want to point out that you get to see the wings and the tentacles and all that, which is directly a reference already. And you even get to see the crystal like ball that he trapped himself in, which is what, a mirror, what?
the mirror world.
The mirror world. And the episode finally ends with the reveal that he's asking evil Doctor Strange for help. And it ends there, like,
Which is a great parallel because when Stephen asked for help, Uatu just said, "Aha, bye, you did this yourself, right? Die in your, in your
yeah.
little universe." And now the only person willing to help the Watcher, right, is Stephen. Man, Ultron should have just killed the Watcher. That should have been a great ending to What If.
I just want to call back to that exact scene, right, in episode 4 when Doctor Strange is in the mirror world.
Well,
and
it's basically a time dimension that he created himself so that he won't interfere with anything else.
Interesting. I always thought it was like a, just a shield bubble.
Basically,
protective
outside
bubble.
people don't know you. Outside people don't know you exist, but you can see the outside. That's it.
But yeah, in that scene, he was clutching like the dying Christine in his arms and and literally begging the Watcher for help. And the Watcher just replies, as much as I want to punish you for everything you've done, I can't interfere. So that's where the parallel comes. And Stephen literally makes Uatu or the Watcher say, "I need your help," because he's exactly that kind of cocky bastard.
Okay, thanks, bye.
But yeah, I think I think it's without a doubt that Steven will help the Watcher because what does he have to lose at this point?
I would have preferred that Steven said no first, right? Like he pays back, right, and then he returns later. That would have been so much better. But they wanted to
Yeah.
paint him as a redeemed character early on.
What about?
Yeah, I know. Only in your household.
I mean, it's Steven, right? His character is just like that. Um, he is very. I don't know how to describe it honestly.
He's like Tony Stark, just that he doesn't have robots, right? He just has mysticism on his side.
I mean, he's an intellect, right? He is crazy and he'll try like all these things, but he's also self-aware in the sense that he knows when he's screwed up. So I mean, when it's between the two choices of him sitting in the mirror world forever, with all his tentacles and wings and just doing nothing, versus like having the chance to go outside and try something new or actually do something, I mean, it's an obvious decision for him.
Could be, that episode 9, right? Is like they might be fighting Shumagora because that tentacle has appeared so many times.
I can't remember. Did he absorb the entirety of Shumagora or just some tentacles?
About 3 tentacles.
Oh. But yeah, I'm really excited, as you said, for the wrong reasons, because I want to see Doctor Strange like with all his crazy mystic powers in this form, fight Ultron and also interact with the other characters, like you said. I think there are a couple of clips from the trailer, the series trailer, where this Doctor Strange meets Captain Carter, and I can't remember others, but there's even T'Challa. I think there are a couple.
Yeah. So it's just rather like I told you so, right? Like since
I
episode
tell you,
1,
next time when we start a series, I'm going to hyperanalyze the trailer.
You bet. I didn't even look at
Overanalyze the trailer.
Right? I didn't even look at the trailer.
Yeah,
right?
but you've been reading comics since you could read. If you want to make this like series about, I don't know, the Hunger Games, if you want to make this series about like the Harry Potter universe or something, like, sure. Maybe I could go like one-on-one with you in terms of knowledge.
Let's not digress, right? Let's keep the spotlight on the person who got it right, okay? And I graciously
if
accept.
You want to make this series about the My Little Pony universe, or like the Disney Princess universe, or just like Frozen trivia. I'm great at Frozen trivia.
Yeah, but that sadly, unfortunately, that's not what's at stake here. So yeah, thank you very much. Right, and I forgive everyone. Okay, I'm a very forgiving person. Thank you. It was hard to be right all the time, but someone had to do it. Okay, I was willing to burden that shoulder, and hopefully it has paid off now. Right, because the Multiversal Avengers debut next week, I'm sure.
Well, however right you are, right, I'm still gonna be seeing Doctor Strange in the next episode, so it's a win.
Yeah, you can take it as a win-win, right? As long as I win, so it's okay.
Fine. And I guess that's it. Episode 8.
Yeah, that's it.
Next week we'll be discussing the final episode of What If. It's been a crazy 9 weeks, or maybe even less, because we missed I think 2 weeks due to internet issues and scheduling.
Yeah, but technically we watched it for like 2 months.
Yeah, crazy. And we haven't decided what we're gonna do for the episodes between What If and Hawkeye yet, actually. We might cover the What If documentary. I don't know. I guess we'll see. We might even do a spin-off Disney version of the Marvellous recap. because technically they're under Disney now.
Anyways, this is your boy, right?
Oh,
CM Cha signing off, right? Take care, stay strong, right?
I haven't even done all my outros yet. Don't cut
I
me
know
off.
I'm doing my outro so you can do your outro uninterrupted, okay? I've already achieved my goal in today's episode of being right.
Anyway, if you prefer other things, we do have a bunch of other shows on this channel. Pangkang King says, thanks, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in for the Marvellous recap. We have a bunch of others. We do some Riot content. Amos does Legends of Runeterra. Alfred is doing Teamfight Tactics tonight, actually. And we also have a bunch of other shows and some new shows premiering, actually. We have Sarah. You have to wait for her show announcement, but it's gonna be a great one. And also, I do Indie Jam every Saturday night. And should I self-plug? Let me just plug myself. I'm gonna be starting streaming on my own channel too. So if you follow me on Twitter at @dalite_, my Twitch username is exactly the same. Actually, let me put it in the chat. Might as well, right? I'm already here.
Might as well. And thank you, Pangang King, for watching, right? I love me some grill stuff. And you know, Pangang is like one of like the best stuff. I love Pangang.
Wow. But
Like
yeah,
really.
I'm gonna be starting streaming on my Twitch channel. I know I only stream indie games on this channel, so I'll be streaming a bunch of others there too, like AAA games, some old games that I haven't managed to get to, and even some new ones. Yeah, so follow me there. I'm gonna be streaming like totally randomly. Just trying it out, so follow me and you'll get the notification when I'm live. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for tuning in. Come back next week for a very exciting finale and for news about what's going to be happening next for our podcast. Thank you and bye bye.
Thank you.
Have a good rest
Bye
of your
bye.
Sunday.
Stay safe.